All right, everybody. Looks like we're good to start. We're recording. My name's Connor,
Hello.
And I'm Chris.
and then you guys are A Fitting Revenge.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Looks like we have Aaron, Grant, and Ledwing.
Yes, you got it right. Thank you so much for getting that right.
Oh, sweet. We are a metal podcast and YouTube channel, and we like doing interviews with bands. And you guys just released some new music, and we're going to talk about that today.
Good deal.
So why don't we get started by having you guys tell us what your roles are in the band?
I'm Grant. I play the bass guitar.
I'm Ledwing, so I do vocals and I play guitar.
I'm Aaron. I play drums, and then I try to contribute musical ideas to some limited extent that are met with certain. Yep, I do my part.
Aaron lays
right.
the kibosh.
Yeah. Quality control.
He's the guy who steps in and says, "That sounds like trash."
Let's go with it.
We need that.
Every band needs one.
Yeah.
So how did you guys come together? How'd you form?
So the band started in 2012. I actually responded to a Craigslist ad that was put out by the old singer. And so I actually joined, and I think I'm technically the only original member, but I did not start it. The person that actually founded it is not in the band anymore. So the band started as AFR, and then later on we morphed into A Fitting Revenge. It was like maybe 2 years in that we made that switch, like 3 years in.
Yeah, I joined in 2014 also via Craigslist, and it was a good fit right away, I think. But pretty shortly after, we had some significant turnover personnel, so that's why we kind of rebranded from the original name of AFR to A Fitting Revenge.
He joined minutes before the Red Wedding.
Gotcha.
I moved out to the Rochester area. Sorry, Aaron, were you all finished?
Yes, I am all set.
Okay. I moved out here in about 2018, so like 2 years ago. You'll notice the running theme. I also responded to a Craigslist ad for a bass player needed, and that's how I got in.
All right.
So you guys have a new single, The Inquisition. Let's talk about the songwriting with that. How'd you guys write that song? Was it different from your first full-length album?
It was. Let me just back up a little bit. So that song has been kind of rattling around in the bin of songs for a long time. That song actually had its genesis, and I was in like a mini 2-person project in like 2010, and it never went anywhere. And it was supposed to be this like 9 Inch Nails style like stripped down thing. So the song was called Bled Together originally. And I never really did anything with it. And then AFR started, and then it would keep popping up and then getting changed, and popping up and getting changed, and popping up and getting changed. And then finally, with this album, I brought it forward, and the guys responded to it. And in contrast to how a lot of the songs were written with Tempest Fugit, the last album, with this one, we all kind of like ants circling a hot dog that you dropped on the floor. We all just kind of like converged on it, instead of me just working on it and then handing it off and somebody like dusting it off, if that makes any sense. So it was much more collaborative.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, that one for me was interesting, because I right from the get-go was like, this, I love this. This one is awesome. This is right in my wheelhouse. This is what I'm about. A lot of times it's a lot of refinement and a lot of going back and forth and stuff. But yeah, this one kind of took off for me pretty quickly.
Gotcha.
So this is the first single on an album that's coming out in September.
Uh, yes, COVID willing.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. And how is that album coming together?
Just moving along. Edwin, anything specific?
Yeah, it's going really well. The the number one uh, the number one tribulation that we have to go through on this is that so our writing style, I mean, we go to the minutia on everything, which is very painful, but it's very good. I love it. You know, it's like you might love being a boxer, but occasionally you get clocked in the face, and that's not so great. So it's kind of a painful process, but I love it. I think we all really like it. But so uh, minute details and making sure those are all in line. That's the number one thing. So the songs are pretty much all written. It's just that in this next phase of tracking, which is where we are right now, we do make minor corrections left and right. But honestly, you know, there were a few of those with the Inquisition, and it again, those things, those little tiny things were worth doing because it just surpassed what I think we all thought we were going to get out of that song.
So we also had another bit of a setback in that we had to part ways with our second guitarist just several months ago. So Edwin has had to step in and do double duty as far as guitar recording. And it's just, it's been kind of tough there. But to our credit, I mean, we have the drums and bass tracked for almost the entire album. We're missing a couple songs, but they've also been, but Edwin's also done a really good job with the production work as far as editing, cleaning things up, making it sound good. So definitely all things considered, we're moving along well.
Yeah, that was my next question is, are you guys mixing and producing all of this yourself?
No. So we're doing DI tracking and drum MIDI tracking and vocals here at the practice space. And then after that, all that stuff gets handed off to Jack Daniels over at Sick Tone Studio.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually the guitar player for War of Ages, and he does the crap load of mixing. Then from that point, it goes over to John Douglas, who's done mixing for like Nile and Amon Amarth, and he's doing mastering, but he really, really knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been blown away with the quality that they've provided us. So very, very happy.
Just as a general question, what would you guys say that between the three of you are your major musical influences?
We're pretty different along those lines, but we can usually agree on stuff like, I don't know, what would you say, The Faceless.
I don't really like them very much.
yeah, this is how everything goes for us usually.
Yeah. Machine Head, which Aaron also doesn't like much.
No, I don't like the music.
9 Inch Nails, which potentially Aaron doesn't like very much.
I like a lot more kind of rhythmic stuff. So some of like the gent stuff, like After the Burial. I like hardcore, so like Hatebreed. And then I also like the wave of metal back in like 2002, 2003 that was really big with like Unearth and Shadows Fall and everything. That was like I really found a lot of good bands there. So that stuff too.
I'm bringing the Lamb of God, Arch Enemy,
Yep.
Cannibal Corpse, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Yeah. For me, I don't know. I listen to some Deadmau5. I like shit like Dragon Force, Joe Satriani, man, it's kind of all over the place. Black Tongue, Infant Annihilator, the Jerfs. It's just
Yeah, so honestly, I don't like anything that these guys like. And
Yeah. Miriam's good. Yeah. Okay. So long story short, yeah, we're kind of all over the place.
yeah.
Yeah. Because something that we thought while listening to the Inquisition was that it was pretty hard to box it into a subgenre. So with all of those influences, I imagine that might be something you're happy about.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do sometimes struggle. We try to think of what genre do we fall under, or what could we call it, and to this date we still haven't really come up with one consistent answer. So
It's wild because people come up to us after shows and they'll be like, "Wow, you guys sound like Death. Wow, you guys sound like Black Dahlia Murder. Wow, you guys sound like I don't know, Stained." It'll just be all these weird. This shit does not make sense. And who am I or who are we to tell them otherwise?
Yeah.
If you had to put it in a box, what would you say a subgenre?
I usually throw American metal out there just because it's,
Yeah,
we are that.
that's
Yeah.
true.
I go with like melodic. I still sometimes say thrash. These guys kind of argue with me on it, but like melodic thrash maybe.
Third wave dildo metal.
Perfect. So you mentioned live shows. Before we all got quarantined, what was the live scene like in Rochester?
It's been very steady. It's very consistent. I mean, as I mentioned, it definitely blew up around the 2002 to like 2005. It was huge then, but that was before we were making music together. Since then, you know, it's kind of died down, as I think it has across the board. But there's still a very loyal fan base that they're just at, you know, every show, and there's always something going on.
It seems to go through cycles. We're kind of on a dip right now, but
Real big dip.
a big yeah. I think that's mostly because of COVID, because I felt like there was some. So the cycles are like, you know, kind of death and then grassroots support, and then a couple bands start really, you know, showing up, and then you have this like crest, and then it just does that. So I felt like we were kind of on the way back up, but you know, we'll see. But Rochester's been very good to us. So previous to all this stuff going down, we actually were planning on tours out, like a tour out toward like the Illinois, Ohio, like Midwest area. That is put on indefinite hold at the moment, unfortunately.
Right.
So, what kind of bands were you planning on touring with during that?
That was actually so. I was working with the booking guy, and it was basically up to him to he would pair us with a band. But we didn't even get to that point. I mean, he mapped out the route for us, and we were excited for it. And then we're just like, given all that's going on, there's a good chance it's just not even gonna happen. So we figured we'll just hold off on that.
Yeah. So is it, you know, probably going to be with other local bands in those cities that you were going to, or just other smaller bands all touring around the same area?
I think the goal was to have like one other band with us, like from wherever, to be at every date, and then you know, have local acts as well.
Yeah, again, that's in the booking agency's hands for the most part. The last tour we did, it was basically just us, and what they did was they stuffed us in the middle of a bunch of local shows. I was hoping that the booking guy would take a more established band and then have us as support. But I think, and Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong here, I think they're basically gonna do what the last booking agency did, but just with two bands. So take two bands and stick them in like a local lineup.
Yeah, pretty much. I think so.
Did you guys find that first tour cycle, you know, got more fans?
Yeah. The question was, did the first tour cycle get us more fans?
Yes. Get your name out there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Except there was one show that
Oh,
was an absolute train wreck. So
the Massachusetts one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. We just showed up and it was this tiny bar. Like we got there and it was like the whole entire neighborhood was just like locked down. There was nobody around, and we go in and there was one other band. It was a 5-piece, I believe, and they were decent. They were a lot younger than we are, so I think they were kind of like just getting started out. But basically,
not exponents.
yeah. So we stood there and watched them play, and then they watched us play, and then we went home. Like that was it. There was nobody else.
Actually, we did have
Yes.
two friends who drove all the way from Rochester
to
Boston.
That's right. Yep.
The 6 hours, and I told them not to come to this show, and they came.
Because we'd be back in Rochester several nights later, but they came anyway, so it was much appreciated. That was that saved the day.
Like, imagine playing a show in Moe's Tavern with just the regulars there, and then the high school band.
Yeah. That sounds like a disaster.
How long have each of you been performing live?
Grant?
I was trying to think of how old I am real quick. I don't know, probably like 15 years for me.
Gotcha.
Do it in bands, in metal bands or rock bands, coming up on 12 years. But I was doing some jazz saxophone stuff prior to that.
I did not know that. Thank you for telling me that. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, heads up.
Yeah, there's a solo dropping on the next. That's cool. I started probably about 20 years ago was my first live show. So yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So, what are your goals for the band this next year, the next 2 years, COVID willing?
Yeah.
My goal is to get Edwin, or his name is Ledwing, but we call him Edwin in case there's any confusion. But my goal is to get him to start using a 7-string. I'm going to keep pushing for that.
Well, condolences.
I'm just praying. I hope that we can get the album done in time and get that successfully out, because we're not going to put out anything that we're not proud of, that we're not going to stand behind. So, but we're really, really trying to stick to that September deadline. Then after that, just hopefully do another tour and do that Midwest thing, because I think that would be a good spot for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, having the album be as tight as humanly possible and just getting out as much as we can. The vast majority of shows we get a really, really positive feedback from the people there.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just it's so special to just be vibing on the same thing with a bunch of people that you don't know. I can't think of. It's funny. The other day I was like, man, there are millions of people that don't know what it's like to kill. In what they're doing. And it's a very special feeling. So that
we don't know yet either.
Yeah, we don't know. We got so close. We were closer than ever before. But the album will come out COVID willing, and as long as COVID willing, we're all alive, COVID willing, and the album is tight. COVID willing.
Very cool.
Now, part of what we do here is that we review records. So as a closing question, we're just going to ask each of you if you heard any great or terrible records recently.
Yes. It's not metal, really, but one of my favorite groups just released an album, Infected Mushroom. They just put out More Than Just a Name a couple days ago.
Okay. We'll check it out.
This isn't too recent. I think it's probably over a year ago at this point, but man, it's really jumped out at me was the latest Trivium album, The Sin in the Sentence, is really good.
He just came out with a new one like 2 days ago.
God damn disappointment. Yeah. Well, anyway, the one before it was very, very good start to finish, and I love that one.
Gotcha.
That's a great one.
Let's see. I was listening to what I'm pretty sure is the most recent Buckethead, and I'm not all the way through it because I have certain stamina, and it's like 9 minutes on, 9 minutes on, 9 minutes on, 9 minutes on. But it's pretty damn good. The most recent Black Tongue Nadir is really good. I listened to the most recent Dead Mouse, and I wasn't all that thrilled with it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at right now.
Yeah. And of course, before we close, we're opening up the floor. If there's anything you guys want to talk about or say, feel free.
Yeah, so you guys do a lot of these interviews with bands. Do you find yourself hearing pretty much the same, kind of like if you pull back 50,000 foot view, basically the same answers over and over?
No, well, this is our second interview with a band.
Oh, okay.
We're a relatively new channel, and these interviews have been pretty different so far. We have a lot of interviews lined up right now, so we might have an answer for you in a couple weeks. But
well, I tell you what though, that the fact that we're transitioning into interviewing aside, I do have an answer for this question. Just having talked to folks in bands and compared to the last one we've done, I found that the answers vary basically based on experience, right? So we have some stock questions that we ask, and I personally have found that there are some overlapping answers, like you said, if you back up and look at them from a distance, and you can predict what those answers are going to be basically relative to how long the band has been a band. And that's the best answer that I can give you. It's a yes and a no. We do get different answers to things, but we do tend to get similar answers, or at least I do, when the bands have similar amounts of experience. And that's just based on having talked to a lot of bands inside and outside of this channel.
Gotcha. So you have your honeymoon period, then the answer of how the album is turning out. This shit's gonna slap, and then 10, 15 years in, we certainly didn't kill each other.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
One last thing that I can add, Chris, were you finished? I'm sorry.
Yes, I am. Go ahead.
This album will be the first material that has my writing and my playing on it, so I'm excited to put that out there and then hopefully start playing some shows with my contribution in there. So that'll be good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank COVID we have Grant.
Yeah. All right, fantastic. Well, it's been a lot of fun talking to you guys. And if you ever end up touring in the greater Nashville area, which we certainly hope that you do, we'd be happy to come see you.
All right, cool. Look forward to it.
Yeah, guys, thanks so much for the interview. Message me back on Instagram with any links you want us to put in the description of this. If you want us to put the download link and we'll obviously put the YouTube link to this song, all of that.
Yeah.
All right, we got one more song coming out shortly too. So
oh shoot!
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's just about ready. So, all right.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool.
All right, guys.
Thanks, guys. Really enjoyed
you.
it. This has been awesome.
All right, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
See ya.